Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice, and his wife, Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rahma. Michael is the author of Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Rice. And the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice. And our call-in number is 646-200-4169, and we would love to hear from you. We have a few people in the chat room already this morning or this afternoon, and several people on the switchboard listening. Today is day 124 of our Memorial Day celebration. And Michael's on the road on his way to pick somebody up from the airport. Michael, are you with us?
I certainly am, sweetie. Absolutely awesome, beautiful day here in the Ozarks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I just wasn't sure. So Memorial Day, we'll do a brief introduction to the idea of us honoring Memorial Day one more time, and that's our plan for eternity, and that is to invite everyone every day to look at one issue that you have where you have some form of hostility or fear that you are willing to work through, that you are willing to let go of. The process of letting go of hostility or fear is called forgiveness. In the ancient Aramaic, it has nothing whatsoever to do with letting other people off the hook because of what's going on inside of you. It is the tool with which you reach inside yourself and let go of what's happening inside. So, if you're not familiar with those tools, they are laid out and you can access them freely on our website, which is www.whyagain.com. www.whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. About a half a dozen links down. Click on that. The first 4 links will show you how to start to change the content of your mind, or how to advance changing the content of your mind. You remember the ancients said, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Well, you renew your mind by moving the garbage out that doesn't belong. Guess what the garbage is? Hostility and fear. Doesn't belong in the human system. And the second stage of that, first stage, removing, forgiving. The second stage is to bring in your true essence and fill your physiology with that. And if you're not sure what your true essence is, then I invite you to go and hold a newborn child. You know exactly what the essence of human life is. You'll know exactly what your essence is. And we're here to support you in living in that essence. So, Jeannie, is David with us? Is Dr. Tim with us today?
They are both with us, and we already have a caller on, too.
Okay, well, let's just say a welcome to David and ask how he's doing in Louisville. For those who are new to the show, David is in Louisville right now. Last Sunday morning, he woke up to a phone call that his 37-year-old son had died, and, of course, processing great deals of grief and pain. And at the same time, David, I acknowledge you for the way you stand in that connected space of love and are supporting all of these people, from Ryan's employees to your family, to your friends, to your community, and bringing healing forward. It's awesome to be supporting you and doing that, to be part of the process.
Well, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you for your support and everyone that's on the radio show and connected with the work. I've received a few emails from some friends that, one particularly from a friend of mine, Seth, that Dr. Tim knows, a good friend of mine that I had been out of connection with for a while, and it's great to hear that he's doing the work. And there's lots of little different shifts that are happening that some may go unnoticed by most. And for me, there are just really some significant things that are transpiring that I'm eternally grateful for with the shifts that are making. One with my grandson, as I was telling you yesterday, and it seems as though that he's really made a shift from as a 13-year-old in communicating with me that from such a genuine and caring and loving space. He's always been a sweet boy, and he's just modeling some behavior that I think that any parent or adult or grandparent would just be so elated to have. His affection and his kindness and thoughtfulness is just coming through. As with there's a tremendous amount of support here and admiration and respect that people have for my son, and it's great that I get to be part of this. It is quite a process for sure.
Is there anything in particular that strikes you to share with our listening audience, just so they can kind of tap in on a deeper level for energy that's happening?
Yeah, well, I was talking with you about on an energetic level. Yesterday, I was shopping at a Walmart, and it's a small one. It's only a grocery store Walmart, which is unusual. They've taken over a grocery store here. It's in a small community area, and as I pulled out of the parking lot and pulled up to the traffic light, there was a tap on my passenger window, and it was my grandson, Jackson, and I was clearing the seat because I thought he wanted to catch a ride with me, and he said, no, I was just in the restaurant with my friends, and I saw you, and he just came out to say hello to me, and he had to run about a half a block, and of course there's the possibility of the light changing, and there's also the, leaving his friends at 13 years old, and this was, in my experience, highly unusual, and very sweet. And so he crawled in the car and he gave me a nice hug, and I was just so moved by that. And as I processed it on an energetic level this morning, then I just kind of get it that he was tapping into the energy of his dad and my resonance with him, and just really coming from that level of communication versus being withdrawn and standoffish and just kind of stuck in his emotions. And it was very, very touching. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the community here, I visited with a unity minister yesterday and talked with a couple of people there, and it's a nice shift that's going on, nice shift energetically with things. I get it that there's some people that made commitments to me yesterday, and made commitments with me yesterday that they would do a worksheet on forgiveness, something that they had to in honor and respect of my son Ryan, which is in alignment with doing the Memorial Day project, with just remove one little thing, just one thing each day, anger, hostility, fear, resentment, sadness, grief, disappointment, regret, anything, whatever that it is, any feeling other than love. And there were a couple of people committed to do that yesterday. So to me, that's just a tremendous plus. As I talked about, one of my relatives said, there's you can always find the good in something, and I differ with him in looking for the good. I think that there can be good created from something other than what I would call, to me, it would be tragic of my son's death without some major healing going on. to go on for, to represent what it was. And, I have no idea why he made his transition at this particular time. I only have my projections of it, and my goals in my mind and in my life. I had my son being with me, and lots of goals, conscious and unconscious, that I'm letting go of now, so that I can tap into an energy high enough to where that I can communicate with him from that. Might sound a little airy-fairy in some minds, and on an energetic level, we are all connected. It's all energy, and so when I remove all of the blocks to that, then I get to connect with him at another space. So that's...
Well, David, it's awesome. There's so many losses and issues going on today.
Michael, you're hard to hear. Michael, you're real hard to hear. It's like you're in a barrel.
Is that any better?
Much.
Okay. So I was just going to say that there's so many young people being lost in our culture, and to the fact that as a parent experiencing that you are stepping up to the plate and changing the dynamic that's causing this to happen, I think is absolutely fabulous. And if every parent had the awareness you had who's gone through such an experience, our culture would change overnight. And so I certainly join you and support you in bringing about that change, continuing that conversation of healing those things that lead to loss of a life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael, and again, everyone's support in me being able to do this and to hold the space while this is transforming. It's a total connection with everyone, and in doing the work that has been able to have this acceleration of all of it. On my own, no way.
Well, we've said it many times before, that African proverb is so brilliant. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We are certainly hold our hearts open. And we'll look up the next time we get face to face.
Yep.
All right,
very good.
Friend.
Thank you.
We've got a caller coming in. Let's hear from our caller, and then we'll welcome Dr. Tim. Dr. Tim's got on his mind today.
Okay, and Michael, you need to shift your phone again somehow.
Okay. How's
That's
that?
better. Much. Yeah. You can
Okay.
just barely hear you the other way. Okay, so we have Tempest from Chicago on the air. You're on.
Yes. Hi. First and foremost, I would like to send my condolences out to him and his family on his loss.
Can you speak a little more closely to your microphone? It's really hard to understand you.
I said, first and foremost, I would like to start off by sending condolences to him and his family on his loss. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm sure that David's appreciation is huge at this point for all the support he gets.
Yes, thank you.
And who are we speaking with?
You're speaking with Tempest.
Oh, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Do you have a question or a thought for us, or some way we can support you in the use of the tools?
Yeah, just a question concerning a relationship that I'm in. I'm coming to the crossroads of feeling that I am losing my boyfriend on a spiritual level, where our connection is dimming out. I'm not sure of the reason why. I've been trying to take it day by day, but it's been really, hard for me in our relationship. And I was just wondering what you can express to me about what do you see going on with the two of us.
Well, I think that the call, with calling in, I think you're probably wanting to talk with Carol Guy, whose show is on Monday mornings at 9 o'clock. I think that's probably, in terms of doing reading type things, that's not something that we do on this show. Our work is about teaching people the ancient Aramaic technology of forgiveness and self-healing. So I really wouldn't have any input on that psychic level. It's just not somewhere that we go. But Carol would be happy to talk with you about that. And if you're looking at, your inside dynamics, there's where our work is how can we support you in healing parts of you that are sad or afraid, or what's happening in your own mind internally with this change happening in your relationship. Is there any way we can support you with that?
Yes. I guess the fear of knowing, just the fear of just moving on, even if it is true. Like, even in my relationship, if it's not working, I just want to be able to bring myself to the grounds of realizing when it's like realizing like it's okay to let go. Instead of like holding on to, emotions or holding on to a particular person is probably not going to, see things your way anyway. So,
are you familiar with the reality management sheet that we're talking about, the forgiveness worksheet that we do?
No.
No. Well, what I would suggest that you do is that you go to our website, www.whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. And that will, the first 4 links under that particular link will explain the whole internal process of forgiveness and how to work through and let go of these concerns and fears around moving on in your life, and or oftentimes if you clear those things out, the dynamics of the relationship change. So I would suggest that you get on the website and get those 4 items. There are 2 to read and 2 to listen to. Walking, where one of them or 2 of the links are for radio shows where we've walked somebody through the whole forgiveness process. And so it'll give you a really powerful taste of what it can do in terms of changing what's happening inside of you. So we invite you to do that. And then if there are any questions on doing the worksheet or on the process, we'd be absolutely delighted to hear from you and to support you in working through some of those issues.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for your call. Blessings.
All right.
So, Dr. Tim, how are you today?
Doing quite well, thank you. In Illinois, we're hanging on to our everything that isn't tied down. Very, very windy night last night, but a bright, sunny, windy day today. I've had lots of thoughts about perception, and the article we mentioned yesterday that's on the CIA website, the chapter on perception. Why can't we see what is there to be seen? And it still amazes me how the more I do this work, the more I get introduced to my own perceptual misperceptions and creations. And, we frequently talk in this work about reaching critical mass, and I think I'm seeing more and more of people who come into sessions and come in asking for help who are able to begin to understand these concepts earlier and earlier in their process. And I'm not quite sure what that's from. I don't think they're getting it from television, and they certainly don't report that they're getting it from other therapists. So I think it really is the matter of critical mass and the energetic connection. And I had a 35-year-old in the office in the last day or two who just lit up when I suggested taking a look at what perception really is and how he's creating his own perceptions based on his past experience. And he just felt so liberated because there might be a way to understand what's been going on. He's, out of the blue, never had him before. All of a sudden, he's begun having panic attacks. and they're related to work situations, and they're related to nightmares he's having at work, and with just a little bit of talk about how what we think of perception as a very passive process. I just sit here and I see and I hear accurately. And this article describes how perception is a very active process, and that I am actively screening out things that are there and actively inserting things that aren't there into my view of reality, into my view of the world around me. So, of course, that's at the root of, as we say in this work, anything that results in hostility or fear. And if I can retrain my brain to think that hostility and fear are not there to tell me what to do next, they're there to alert me to the fact that I've stepped out of the space of love, then I can take the steps to replace that state of love in my mind, rebuild it, and then decide how to act in that given situation. So that's what I've been
So what
pondering.
you're saying is that we add things in and take things away in order to make everything fit into our own BS? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and everybody has their own belief system.
Right.
Everybody creates their own belief system. And the other thing that the research shows on the CIA side is that the longer I'm operating from a particular belief system, the harder it is for me to adjust to even accurate, clear data that's presented to me trying to show me that I'm wrong. The longer I've had a particular mindset or belief system, the harder it is for me to see reality accurately.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the fabulous thing to me that it's just one simple little piece of knowledge that tells me when my mind is lying to me, and that is if I'm in some form of hostility or fear, I'm in an hallucination. I'm in a lie. I'm fabricating something that isn't true. It's just that simple piece of information acted on would change everybody's life overnight.
Yeah, and the diligent application of observation to retrain myself to the fact that that's how the system really works is worth every bit of energy it takes to do it. And people say, well, that's really hard. That would take a long time. And I say, yes, and it's worth every bit of energy you give to it because it pays dividends after dividend after dividend.
Well, one of the things that I like to offer people when they say, oh, that sounds really hard, it's like, no, excuse me. Living in repeated trauma and pain and hostility and destroying relationships with vicious, violent words, thoughts, feelings, and actions, that is a really hard way to live. However, it's effortless. If that's what our family system has done forever, it's natural, it's easy, and it just unfolds totally, completely, effortlessly. That form of perception, or what we would term insanity, is effortless and yet the most difficult way there is to live. Yes, to start to observe yourself, to start to use the tools to remove the inaccurate data from your mind, the things based in hostility or fear, takes effort. But my goodness, it's the easy way to live by a country mile. It takes ongoing effort, but it is so easy to live that way compared to every time you turn around having another reason for some apparent reason for some form of hostility or fear.
Yeah, and there are so many people that I run into who are horror-stricken by the idea of giving up their anger or their fear.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to tell them, I'm not trying to tell you to give up your anger or fear. I'm just trying to help you understand that it's meant to be a signal, an important signal for you. And you've simply been trained to misread the signal. And you're trying to use the signal as a tool to do something it wasn't intended to do. You're trying to use your anger to solve or eliminate the problem that's generating the anger, that you believe is generating the anger. And, you know, it's the analogy that came to me not too long ago where that's using my anger to try and solve or resolve a problem is like trying to use the fire alarm to put out the fire. Holding the squealing speaker up to the flames isn't going to put out the flames. And so using my anger to try and scream at somebody or dump on somebody or force or manipulate them to change so I don't have to feel my anger is as ridiculous as trying to hold the fire alarm up to the flames expecting the flames are going to go out. It just doesn't work that way.
Great way to say it. Is that idea copyrighted? Can I use that one, Tim?
No, you can use that. It's in a blog entry, but you're free to use it and spread it around. The more ways we get people to come up with the comparisons and the analogies to explain how our system works, the faster the word will spread and the more peaceful our lives will be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm absolutely delighted to have you on the team and doing this work and sharing it with as many people as you are in the Chicago area. We had an awesome 2 weeks up there and continue to hear from people. And if you're in the Chicago area, there are support groups in Cary, Illinois, in Napersville, and in Crystal Lake. So you've got 3 different support groups meeting at 3 different times to assist you in using these tools if you're in that area of the country. Lansing, Michigan. Rex Montague-Bauer has a support group there, and South Florida, there are several groups going on. And of course, Mind Shifters Radio is about supporting you in the process of forgiveness. You can go to our website and download and find information about support groups and where they are. There is, of course, a free copy of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, on the site. There are umpteen videos, audios. There's over 6 months of radio show archives that you can download freely and listen to. Jeannie has gone through and titled them so you can get a sense of what they're about. And so if you want to build the brain cells, if you want to do your work, there are lots of support materials on the website. And, of course, we also have 16 different DVDs that we make available for sale. If you want to support this work, that's one of the ways to support us is by ordering some of our products. You can go to the website, whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side you'll see a link that says Order Products, and that's where you can do that. Or if you want to just support us with a donation to help keep things going, we'll be getting on the road in about a month, heading to Florida. You can look at our schedule. It's just opening and developing for Florida, starting in November. And we'd be delighted if there's anybody in the Florida area that wants us to come and speak in your community. We'd love to have your invitation and see how it would fit in our travel plan. And when we travel, our workshops are free. We pay our own expenses. So we want to make it easy for people to access the tools. So, Jeannie, any callers, any questions, anything going on in the chat room to be aware of?
Nothing.
Do you have anything on your mind today, sweetie?
No. We had a caller, and just as I was getting ready to say you're on the air, they disappeared. So 702, please call back in. I think this is somebody probably in Dr. Andraki's area, and they had been on hold for a little while, and they just hung up. So if 702 you're still listening, please call back in or press 1. And it'll let me know you want to speak, and we'll be glad to put you on and hear your comments or questions. So, there they are. So hold on one second.
Fabulous.
Area code 702. You are on the air. Who do we have?
This is Bobby.
Hi, Bobby.
Oh, hey, Bobby. How are you? Bobby runs a support group at Unity in Las Vegas.
Right. I'm doing well, except I had an experience yesterday that I thought I could get a little help with. I was at the post office and mailing some pictures to my grandson, and Dick was standing in line, my husband, and it was time for us to go, and so I was rushing. And I ended up leaving my purse on the counter at the post office, and it was stolen.
Oh.
And so I was so upset with myself. I mean, you know, blame, blame, blame. How can you be so stupid? Da, 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 da. So we didn't discover it until I got home, went back to the post office. It wasn't there. Came back, got out the credit cards, and started to call. And I got a phone call, and this man had found my purse. And so we went to pick it up. And the only thing the people, whoever stole it, took was the money, the cash. So I got all my credit cards, my cell phone, my glasses, all this stuff back. But I'm still having trouble letting go of the upset about how could I be so stupid. Not only that, I hadn't taken the money out of my purse yet from Mind Shifters, the offering from Mind Shifters on Wednesday night. And it wasn't just cash. There was a check in there from one of the individuals that comes every week. And so I had to call him and tell him that, you know, the check was gone. He had to call his bank, cancel his account, et cetera, et cetera. Call Social Security to have them, you know, deposit somewhere else. And so I still got, you know, some guilt from that. And even though it all turned out okay, and this other person is, I mean, he's so supportive. And he kept telling me it just turned out beautifully because the bank was great to him. And you know, and he couldn't believe that I could manifest my first purse coming back to me. And so I should feel really good. But I'm still,
so Bobby,
you know, having trouble letting
how
go
does how does blaming yourself and feeling guilty look like your life?
I'm not quite sure I get that.
Well, how often in your life, how long have you been doing I'm the guilty party and I'm to blame here?
Oh, about
how long has that been going on in your life?
I'd say about 70 years.
70 years. So
not that long. I'm only 72, but whenever I started thinking, probably, maybe at the age of 5 or something.
So, and I could just about guarantee that it came with you genetically as well. So,
yeah.
Bobby, that's going to be one of your 77 times 70 worksheet issues. You remember they asked Yeshua, how many of these worksheets do we have to do anyway? Is 7 enough? How many times should we forgive? And in Aramaic, what he said is 77 times 70, which means I'm going to do an infinite amount of work around this particular issue until I'm done with it, right down to the depths of my genetic toes. And so,
I've done a lot of
until you get to the point where you can see you as innocent, there's going to be forgiveness work to do around this issue. And so a mind shifter might be useful too. Have you got a pen handy?
Yes, I do. I've got, in fact, I've done one worksheet, but I've got blanks here. And I did one, but I'll be happy to do another one with you.
Okay, so how about making a note of this mind shifter? God.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, God.
My parents. And everyone I know. Including myself.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Know and see me as totally innocent. Are you breathing, Bobby?
Oh, no, I forgot to do that.
Okay, so time to take a breath.
Okay, yes. Okay.
And so for those who are not familiar on the show with the Mind Shifter tool, a mind shifter is a thought about an issue in our lives around which we have negative thoughts, and it's the opportunity to surface, process, and release the negative thoughts. So Bobby, what was the first thing that came up as you wrote that and saw that whole statement? What was the first thought that came for you?
Sort of, is this possible?
Okay. So that's a good start. So what you do with the mind shifter, if there's anybody in our audience that, that resonates with that mind shifter, says, yeah, I've got some work to do around that one, then what we would do is invite you to take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of the page, so you divide the page in two, and write the mind shifter on the left-hand side of the page, and then on the right-hand side, write everything that comes up in response to it. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever's there. And as you do that, what you'll find is you'll start to let go of, on deeper and deeper levels, those ideas of guilt. And as you come in touch with those ideas and those false beliefs through the mind shifter process, then you'll see more of the areas of your life where you can take the worksheet process and work through it. Mm-hmm. And Bobby, knowing you as I do and the sweetness of the space that you carry and the caring that you carry, it's time to let go of this guilt trip on yourself.
Yeah.
Guess
and
what?
I can't see
you made a mistake.
Pardon me?
I say, guess what? You made a mistake. If let's say that you had your next-door neighbor with you and she left her purse and she was in a guilt place and blaming herself, what would you say to her?
Yeah, I'd say you made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. And
okay.
And it all
so
turned
now,
out pretty well,
what prohibits you from applying those ideas to yourself and accepting them?
Well,
that's where your work is to forgive, to let go of those ideas.
Yeah, they are coming down. One other thing I just thought of is that the man who found my purse is probably, in some dire circumstances. And I think it made him feel really good to return the purse to me. And so that's a positive, too, I think.
You might have changed his life.
You never know, because I put out there, some way, let my purse come back to me. And I don't know, he told me the circumstances of how he found it and went home and then called and all that. But I just, and Edward was saying, I didn't even mention his name, but said that, I manifested that coming back to me too. And so that's kind of a powerful thought. And but I do think that maybe it did affect this man who found it too, in a positive way. So those are things.
And you never know what's going to come from it down the road. I remember Jeannie and I had the opportunity to go into a jail in Tucson, Arizona a couple of years ago. Excuse me. In Tucson, or in Arizona, pardon me. In Arizona, they start putting kids in jail at 9 years of age. We went in and worked with 100 young people from 9 to 16. The thing that opened the door for us to go into that jail was about 20 years ago, I was in Boston at a Unity church doing a series of workshops, and I was traveling in my motorhome. I parked the motorhome in their back lot, went in and did the first half of the workshop, and at the intermission went out to the motorhome to find out that someone had broken in, and there was about $5,000 in electronic equipment and money gone. And so, there was a little bit of a ruckus. The police were called and all of that sort of thing. And I went back in and shared that. There was the hope and the wish that whoever got the $5,000 would make good use of it and that it would benefit their lives. There was a gentleman there who was, at that time, a therapist, but kind of a cynical guy, sitting in that audience when we came back in from the scene of the crime. Mm-hmm. And he was so transformed by his experience of watching the way that was handled. That's what opened the door for us to go into this jail like 18 years later and work with these kids. You never know what's going to come from it. If you hold to the active presence of love. I don't care what happens in your life. The Creator has a better idea for it than you do. And if you'll let the Creator's mind come in, that better idea will take over and take off and manifest.
That's a beautiful thought. Yeah. Thank you for that.
All right. Is there any other way? How is the support group going? What kind of transformations are taking place?
Well, it's going well, and I know you hear from our mutual gentleman friend that went through this situation with me, and quite often, and he's doing great. And the membership, the attendance seems to fluctuate here and there, and different people come and then go and then come back again, and then new people come in. So we're still a very small group, but I think we're doing good work. And Connie, of course, has, came back from Heartland a week ago, she was there this week, and so she's a great input into our group, and I just appreciate her so much. So things are going well.
Awesome. Well, is there any other way we can support you, Bobby?
No, just keep doing your work, and I'll keep listening, and thank you so much, and we'd love to see you and Jeannie out here again sometime.
Awesome. We'll definitely be out in that direction again. We hold a blessing for you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jeannie? And the callers are happening in the chat room.
Nope, everything's real quiet. There's several people out on the switchboard, so if you want to talk, press 1. It lets me know, and I can turn you on. Chat room's only got about 3 people in it, and they're being really quiet today.
Am I still on?
You are.
You are.
Okay, I would just highlight that what's another big thing that's happened in the people I've been working with lately is the response to the responsibility communication lecture and that tool. We watched it last week for the second half of it, and it stirred up a lot of things for different people, and I've actually had 2 people send me preliminary drafts of responsibility communications that they're working on to clear up misperceptions and difficulties in relationships. And I like it so much because I think I told you about the book by Robert Bolton, the People Skills book. And I used to teach a communication skills class based on that book, because it was one of the best books I found for just the basics of communication and for reflective listening to try and make sure that what was intended was actually what was received. And your responsibility communication mirrors that so beautifully and adds the understanding of the source of all of my emotions, positive and negative, comes from within me. So, if nobody else has another topic, I think maybe a quick review of the responsibility communication and how powerful it is when I can actually talk about an upset in me and have the people around me understand that I'm not blaming them at all for any of it, that I'm fully aware that I have created it, and that if I have upset, it's an indication to me that I'm perceiving things incorrectly, and how powerful that can be in communication and in building healthy relationships.
Well, it's definitely, in my mind, one of the key steps in the process is that to recognize that when we look at a picture in our minds, that picture, as you quoted earlier from the CAI site we were discussing on perception, that picture is a construct of my mind. And when I recognize that it's a construct of my mind, that construct is built with words. And when I change my words, my pictures change. So if I use words like "you made me," what I'm saying to my mind is, mind, construct me a reality that this pain is all about what they did to me. and that I am their innocent victim. And my mind will create an hallucination. It will create a picture that verifies that's true. Now, of course, few people stop to think about the fact that they've been through that particular painful reality 87 different times with 42 different people. Every time their minds have structured that particular reality, they're the only ones who've been there. And once we recognize that, then recognizing that that reality is a construct in my mind, I have the opportunity to change it. I can shift it. I can make it something different if I choose. And I'm going to have to use my words to do it. Projection communication, which is one of the things we talk about in the Communication Did You Hear What I Think I Said workshop, which is available on a 4-hour CD and a 2-hour DVD. But projection communication is a kind of communication where I have a reality in my mind, and I believe that my reality is caused by you. And so I language how you made me, the whole culture of. And it's amazing. I got an article recently from a very high-level therapist at a very prestigious medical institution writing about forgiveness. And the forgiveness that she started out with, the article started out, the first line, as a PhD psychologist, was, sometimes people just really hurt you. And it's your choice as to whether or not you forgive them. And the whole premise of her article, as I understand it, is just so far off base when I start talking about people hurting me. Now, certainly somebody can come along and punch me in the arm, cancel the thought, and I will experience something happening in my physiology. But as far as the emotional hurts that we want to blame on everybody else, they're all a product of what's going on inside of us. And when we change what's going on inside of us, we're in charge of the process of healing. We're no longer stuck in the world of they're the ones with the power in our lives. But as long as we language in such a way that we hold that they're the one with the power in our lives, then it will continue to appear that they do have the power. And when I shift and change, and the reason for that is because I keep using language that supports my mind structuring that hallucination that they're the cause of my pain. When I take charge of my reality, and I do that by taking charge of my language, by using responsibility communication. At that moment, I begin to structure my reality more consciously and more in alignment with truth. And so when instead of I say, you really hurt me, and when you did this, and you did that, and you, when I shift the conversation, not just into I statements, there's a form of communication out there that talks about I statements, but it's still based in projection. When I start to communicate in a way that I recognize that what I'm experiencing is happening inside of me, and I use words that describe the reality going on inside of me as though I'm responsible for it, rather than pretending the reality that's going on inside of me is all your fault. So when I say, you made me angry, I'm saying to my mind structure reality that proves that somebody else causes my anger. When I shift that language into, oh, I have anger in me, and I'd like to change the root of my anger, no longer does my mind show me that my anger is about you. It all of a sudden shows me that it's about me. And now, I'm empowered to change it. Now I'm empowered to structure a whole new reality. And I do that by utilizing conscious words, by utilizing words that reflect truth of the situation, and that is that what's going on inside of me is caused by what's going on inside of me. And responsibility communication helps us to recognize that and to bring ourselves back to accountability. As long as I'm using projection communication and insisting that my reality is all about you, then the reality I'm thinking I need to change, I can't change because it's yours. And so there is if you go to the download worksheets, as I say, you can order the DVD of the workshop or the CD, but you can also go to the website, and there's a set of rules for responsibility communication, the 7 steps to responsibility communication. So you might want to check that out, and you'll find it'll change your life if you start. And there's a pretty straightforward set of tools to follow just off of the worksheet. There's enough information there to pick it up and start to use it. Does that kind of get where you want to go with that, Tim?
Yeah, it's very good. I just think that what most of us don't understand is that not only our perception is under our control, but the actual relationships we create with others comes by the interaction of our perception and the energy it generates in us, and how that energy that's radiating out from us triggers other people and their perceptions, so that a simple but powerful shift in the way I'm feeling and who I'm feeling is responsible for my feelings can absolutely transform a relationship. And even more specifically than that, can absolutely transform a specific interaction I'm having. Some of that shift in perspective happens if I simply shift out of blame into blessing. And the book, The Gentle Art of Blessing, suggests that instead of focusing on the traits I believe I'm seeing from someone that are irritating me, as soon as I realize I'm feeling irritated, I catch myself, I stop, and I focus my thoughts on all of the higher characteristics that this other person has within them. So if I see somebody who's being impatient and rude, and I catch myself feeling irritated by it instead of feeling compassion for them, I shift my thinking over to focus on not their impatience, but their patience. And I don't focus on their rudeness or the behaviors that seem to be demonstrating rudeness. I focus on their capacity to be loving and respectful. And I shift my thinking and create an image in my mind of this person being loving and patient and respectful. And within moments, if not minutes, if I'm actually interacting with this person, more often than not, there will be a change in the behavior coming from that other person. Whereas if I sit with my irritation and my frustration and my thoughts of blame, I'm very likely to experience more of what I began with. I'll experience them as being impatient and rude and irritating, and they'll stay in that energy pattern, interacting with my energy pattern, and it will just escalate until it ends. So the responsibility communication tool is a much more specific tool for accomplishing, I believe, to my mindset, exactly what the Gentle Art of Blessing is suggesting. Because when I take full responsibility for everything that I'm feeling and the perceptions I'm creating, when I accurately communicate that to somebody else, they aren't put on the defensive. They're asked for their support in helping me hold a space of love while I do my healing, and it creates an environment that's radically different from what was there just moments before. So I applaud you for putting that tool together, and I highly recommend it to people.
Well, it's interesting how the the tools have all developed over the last 40 years. And, of course, they're all autobiographical, and they're all reflections of things that I have had to learn and am still learning in the process of healing. So that's an awesome gift that I get to have by bringing forward tools. An awesome piece of learning I get to do. And I love to watch the light go on in people's eyes when they go, oh, that's how it works. Okay, I got it. I can do that.
Yeah, it's one of the more rewarding parts of the trip.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. I'm in full agreement. Absolutely full agreement.
Well, I don't see any...
Have you heard from the young man that called the other day about the responsibility tools? Have you spoken to him recently?
Not in the last few days. He had a very, very powerful experience at the Tuesday night group. So he's still working on it, and I think he found it very useful, the feedback he got from the call-in. But like most of us, when we're first starting, and especially when our really important relationships in our lives are the ones we're dealing with, the emotions run very high, and whenever that happens, it's harder to see clearly. So
it definitely opens up the challenge. And of course, you know, there's the old saying that says that a smooth sea never made a good sailor. And while we all would usually prefer, I think, to have everything smooth and easy, sometimes if there's a skill level to build and we're unwilling to build it through volunteering and through choice, the universe has to kind of take us to the limitation.
Yeah.
The opportunity to learn.
Yeah, and the other one I like is that the ship is safest in the harbor, but that's not what it was created for.
Right. For sure. So our calling number, if anyone has a question or a thought for us, is 646-200-4169. It's always fun and exciting when we've got somebody who has a genuine, real-life question. So if you've got a question, please call us. Let us support you. Let us help you to move toward this phase of really, truly, deeply understanding the process of forgiveness and integrating it into your world. And sharing it with those around you. Building community based in these tools is an awesome thing to do, an awesome gift to give to any community. And the transformations that you will watch happen in your own life and the lives of those around you are just incalculable and extremely exciting. So, Judy, do you have a thought for us today on the topics? Go ahead.
Michael, we have less than a minute and a half, and we just got two callers pop on. So let's take the first one. It's 607. I believe that's New York. Who do we have?
It's Richard. And
Hi, Richard.
Hey, Richard. We've got about 40 seconds, Richard.
I understand. It's going to be quick. I just wanted to thank the lady who got on and talked about her purse and everything, because the mind shifter that you gave her is one that I needed in my life right now, too. So I just wanted to thank everybody.
Very cool.
Thank her for being on the show and bringing that up. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, I applaud you for being willing to look at another piece of your work, Richard, and thank you for calling in to share with us. Our show is at a completion point, and we join each and every one of you in creating the best year yet of your eternal lives. And bring a stranger with me to the show tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Monday. On Monday.
Monday. Yeah, today's Friday, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Rice, and his wife, Jeannie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeannie are here every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.